let's see if we start recording. You guys will see. So one thing is that when you are recording, and I'll show you how I did it after when we get up to that portion of it, everybody goes out there and kind of sees it. So they get a little notice up at the top. If you see it up top saying the recording and the transcript has started. So again, I'm Michael Goldstein. I'm president of Land Infotech. I will say that we have 24 employees, been in business since 2009, and prior to pandemic, we still lived in teams, but I will tell you that we live it in more even now. So 4 of our people out of the 24 are in the office, and I'm going to show you the Teams 101, but the best way for me to demonstrate it is to kind of show you from my team. So I'll apologize up front if you see anything that might not meet standards, corporate standards for you guys, but you know, it's live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully everybody will
Michael, if you have questions along the way, do you want them saving
sure,
questions?
just raise. Yeah, you could save or you can ask, you know, pop in on that. So you guys see my calendar, right? Just want to make sure that the screen worked.
Yes.
Okay, so this is my copy of Teams. I'm just gonna show you that it is live. There are people that are chatting back and forth. You know, we have Teams, we have channels, we have calls. So I'll kind of go to the basic 101. So some of the cool things that you'll see outside in Teams is that you should go out there and up in the upper right hand side, you'll see, if you haven't put your picture, I have my picture that's in there. But this kind of shows you some of the settings that you have up here. So I'll call this the ellipsis or the hamburger. But inside the settings gives you the ability to go out there, and if you're a person, I guess Teams default color is purple, I can change it to dark mode. Yeah, you could start looking at some of the settings that are out there that affects your colors. But more importantly, one of the good things is that if you click on devices, you have the ability to go out there and play with noise suppression. And I bring this up because sometimes I'm in a loud setup. I won't demo it today, but maybe at a later one. You know, where Microsoft added this, I could have been eating a bag of chips in front of you under the low settings or the default settings, but when I changed it to the high noise suppression, you wouldn't hear the crumpling of the bag of chips. So prior to setting things up, you can go out there, you can connect up to any audio device. I'm actually on a wireless headphones that are here, but it's a Bluetooth dongle. So again, the settings is up. So, and it is the quick little 3 dots in the upper right hand side. So I'm going to kind of go through some of these things to tell you what they are, and then we'll spend some time in chatting and Teams just to show you. So activity is the first bar that's up there. And this kind of shows me from my feed anybody that might have highlighted me, might have requested me. You know, I can search through that. I can go through a whole bunch of things of where I might have been mentioned. So like Slack, this chat function that we'll go into next really shows it has full capability like you had in Slack, or, you know, as someone pointed out, as much chat as you might have had inside of, you know, a chat client. So for us, these are all the people that I recently chatted, and I pinned these people to the top because they're high volume type clients or people that keep chatting back and forth with me. Now, again, this is all internal chat. And then you can see over here under the recent, this is actually our meeting that we're using right now. So in here, I have the ability to go out there and go back and see some of my meetings. So I will just pick, this is my son, he works for me. So I'll actually put it a little chat in. No magic here. Okay, I am in another, and he should come back and chat back pretty quick. Hopefully he doesn't tell me what I can do with myself, but in general, you can see how these things go. Oh, so see, Brett says that he knows Eric. So, Eric's my son. You can see that it has his picture up there. I sent it. So when we're chatting, you know, I can chat. I can mention someone in the chat with the @ sign. I can go out there and make this an important chat. I can go out there and attach something. I won't go through all these things, but this is full featured back and forth chat. So the good part about a lot of the chatting is that Eric might be feeding my granddaughter at this point, and he might not see this. And what'll happen is, as you put items in the chat, until you actually read them, they stay in the chat and it goes back pretty far. Okay, so I can attach a picture, I can attach, GIF, like anything on these bottom pieces. I don't want to spend the time on, attaching, but I could just put a picture in there, do images, very full featured chat. So again, kind of simple chats that go out. Now on the higher level chat, I'll just show you that I have a group chat going. So this is everyone that. So what we decided to do is to create a group chat. And you can see that, guys are going back and forth at lunch, go on forever. I won't go too far out because I know that we were joking with one of our engineers going to Jamaica. And I know that they put in some pictures that maybe you want to see. So you can see these guys think it's kind of funny. They're putting things in there. I won't go too far up past this. This is just today. But we use this as a company chat. So guys go in there and they pop everything in place there. And then I'll show you how we add that. In here, I could say, start mentioning people, are we done? And this is live, so hopefully they'll respond back. And, again, these are messages that are live that are happening right there. But inside the group chat, I was able to, @ and be able to go out there and add the chat in. So he's live coming back to me at this point. Doesn't know that you guys are looking at this. Yes, I'm closing the ticket shortly. Now I'll just go back and do one of these. He'll get the little thumbs up on the other side, and I don't have to go back and go 100 times. So questions so far on chat? This was a group chat, and then we had set up help desk as a group. And then what happens to me is I'm a member of this group. And these guys, as you can see, go back and forth hundreds of times. I don't want to see those pop up on my team screen all the time. So basically what I can do is inside that chat, I can hit the little hamburger and I can say mute or unmute that chat. So in reality, I want it to show me that the chat's happening, but I don't want it to pop up on the bottom of my screen every time these guys say, hey, I'm going for lunch, I'm getting coffee. What do you guys want for lunch? I want to see it, but I don't want it to pop it up all the time. So what I did is I clicked on the 3 dots. I won't unmute it because I don't want the pop-ups, but it would be a chance to mute or not. I also pinned it to the top because it's important to me. And if I wanted to, I can pop out the chat so it becomes a separate window. So a lot of easy ways to chat. I haven't used Slack in a long time. So if anyone has any comments or questions or things that they might not like about this or what they like about it or, looks kind of interesting, you can jump in at any time. Now, other things that happen inside these chats, and again, I'll work on, any one of these. You'll notice that as I go into the chats, up to the right here, you'll see that there's a files button and there's an activity button. So inside the chat, you might not see use for this today. I could attach a file. So if I wanted to talk about a file, I can just go out there and I can actually add a file into this chat. I can add other pieces up to the top that's up there, and we'll talk about the applications, but it could be as easy as just dragging a file in there. So again, I could have done that also from the attach button here. So inside of your chats, you have the ability to go out there and add files so they can keep it. And then if I was chatting with Eric and I wanted to add someone else to the chat, I can go out there and I can pick someone else and I could just say Greg, and I can add people to this chat. So really where this starts for us utilizing this at Len Infotech is the ability to go out there and have a one-on-one chat, a one-to-many chat, or a one-to-a-lot of people kind of chat. And everyone sees everything inside that chat. So don't think it's that much different than any other chat program, but again, it's integrated into that. Now, while we're in a chat, and I won't do it up here, but we also have the ability to turn that into a video conference, a call. I'm able to go out there and just share my screen with this group of people. Now, what this does is it gives you the ability, I'll pick on one person. Many times you go back and forth and you'll sit there within this chat. And I know it's frustrating for me sometimes where I get a lot of the one-word answers back and forth. I want to be able to go out there. You can go out there and just click the phone button and I can actually dial that person. Now, that person will get that there's a ringing going on and that they will go out and answer the call. And we can have person to person inside your company voice communications or video communications. So right now it's everybody inside your world, right? But I'll talk about video conferencing outside your world. So what happens with me is sometimes I'll get one answers back and forth. I'll get a lot of questions. I'll go back and forth and I'm like, you know what? I just want to call, and I'll hit the call button. Now that will ring on the computer. You know, I'm using Teams on my phone. It could ring on the phone. And then for those of you, just to show you how Teams goes, and if you can see this, this is actually a dedicated Teams device that I keep on my office because I got so many things going on. So it will ring on all those devices and I'll have the ability to either do a voice call or a video call. So I'll kind of pause to see if anybody has any questions that they want to bring up before I keep going.
Anything you guys are seeing that Slack does that you haven't seen the chatting feature on Microsoft Teams do? Or questions from what we're used to what we're going to? No, everybody's good? Okay.
That's good. I figure I ask, you know, you guys will have my email contact. You can email me questions if you didn't want to ask, and then we'll be providing you access to a little online training class that you guys can look at things. I'll show it towards the end. But, you know, I find it pretty powerful to be able to go out there and look at stuff that's there. It keeps track, like it is the chat of the actual meeting that I'm going on. So this is our meeting. I could have put files in there. I could have started taking meeting notes that were out there. I could have added a whiteboard. So again, it does keep track of everything in one spot. So let's just kind of talk about meetings. If you're a devout Outlook user, everything in my world is on my Outlook calendar, everything. You know, if I have a doctor's appointment, of course I make that private. If I got to go, you know, I had to go take something, take my son's dog to the vet today, did that on my calendar. And in reality, when you click on the calendar button from within Teams, it shows you all those. So I was traveling this weekend, you know, Peter put on his calendar that he was off on Monday. These are all my meetings that I have going on today. So if you decided that you wanted to schedule a meeting, there's a couple different ways that you could do it. So what I'll do is I'll just go down here. I clicked on a spot. I can add a title, no different than your calendar. I'll just call it test meeting. Every time that you put a meeting inside from the Teams, it is a Teams meeting versus, and I'll show you the same thing inside of Outlook. Here's the required attendees. Again, I can put anything in, you know, got a bunch of people that are tied to here. I got a, just because I'm inside my Teams piece, I can go out there. It's not showing everyone. But again, I'll go in and give it a title. I'll add the attendees that are out there. I can go out there and pick my time. I already put the time that's in place there. You know, you could schedule it as a repeating meeting. So if this was a company kind of meeting, we can put the repeating pieces just like you do in Outlook. And I also have the ability to tie it to a channel. And I'll show you how that works and what the channel is. But I wanted to show you that this is always a Teams meeting. And you also have the ability to kind of do the same thing. So you can see that my calendar is kind of the same here. There's no difference. So if I wanted to do that same meeting here, and I said I wanted to put an appointment in there, you know, again, test meeting. The difference is that I have a Teams button up here. Okay, so when you're in Teams and you use the calendar function, it's always assumed that it's a Teams meeting. When you're doing an appointment from Outlook, I have to put the Teams meeting button in, and that turned it into a Teams meeting. Okay, so you could do it whatever is comfortable with you. And then I can only vouch for the Android version of Outlook. On the Android version of Outlook, I can also do a Teams meeting and set up a Teams meeting from Outlook within the Android app. I think that's also available on iOS. So I'm kind of multifaceted with the different things that are out there. And users would then get the team meeting link. So there's two different ways that you can go out there. I just want to say that there's no distinction between the Outlook calendar and the Teams calendar. Same thing. So I can schedule it out. People get that. And then they get the meeting link, just like you guys got the meeting link. The only optional piece that Jennifer probably didn't speak about is that by default, just like Zoom, if you don't have a paid version of Zoom, you don't have a dial number. So today, if people don't have one of the dial licenses from Microsoft, they call it audio conferencing, you won't get a telephone number. you'll actually get just the join through the internet. So Jennifer, we could take that offhand, but I just wanted to say that when I showed you dialing before, everybody inside of your company could go out there and you could ping each other and get on a call. If somebody outside needed a dial-in number, we'd have to discuss and have that license assigned. So again, everyone has internet access. I will say that I have been, I won't say I do it all the time, but I have been cellular on my cell phone, taking internet, connected to meetings, and I saw that some of you dialed in. So without that audio license, you can't see this telephone number. So I just wanted to let you know that. But if you have the right license, because we just had a set of clients that asked this, they do a lot of work in Canada and Mexico, the dial-in number is all over the world. So each one of you that have assigned one of these licenses get a general number that's out there, and you get to assign a different conference ID. So it's only for schedulers. So again, kind of easy to make your appointment. And when I drop it on the calendar, I'll just assign it to me. It'll drop on my calendar, and within seconds, if I switch back and just go to the Teams calendar, I'll discard this one that I was creating. It's there, and I could have done it reverse. Now, also, when you're scheduling these meetings, again, we'll assume that they're video meetings. You have a couple of options that are there. Microsoft, when we schedule a meeting, is just what you're in right now, a regular meeting. Teams gives you the ability to go out there and do a webinar. So if you're doing an event, and we'll probably do a little advanced class on that. And a webinar is really just a one-to-many. And they also have the ability to do a live event. Again, a one-to-many. If you have one or two speakers that are speaking and you don't want to have any audience participation, webinar and live event go. And then live event will support up to 10,000 people. So Microsoft did their worldwide partner event a few months ago. In their extended session, I actually was on a group with probably close to 20,000 people that were on there. It was pretty cool. So again, different types of meetings, but most of us will just schedule a meeting and go out there and it'll put it on the calendar. So questions so far on how that works? All right, good. I'll go through some of these tabs just to kind of end the curiosity, and then I'll go out to Teams to show you what Teams and channels are. So I did activity, I did chat, I showed you calendar. Calls is just another place to go out there and dial people. So again, if I clicked on any of my people that are out there, it'll do an internet-only call. Teams does give you an ability to have an external phone system if needed. I have one of those numbers, but without that, you can dial anybody internal to your organization. So, and then lastly, before we go in there are a bunch of apps, and we'll talk about the apps in an advanced group. But for whatever reason, Microsoft has a ton of applications that could be added in. So as an example, if I was one of those Starbucks guys, there's a Starbucks app that lets me order from within Teams. Starbucks, there's links to SurveyMonkey, there's links to Zoom, there's links to most of the applications that you can imagine. And what does that mean? Well, over here, I use an app called Clip Training. And I'll tell you about this because we'll get you guys licenses to this Clip Training. Let me just log in. But again, this shows that from within Teams, I can take an application and I could link it to Teams. And from within Teams, now I can actually do my training. I can go to the website, but now I don't have to go to the website. So there are a lot of applications that can be added in there. And we'll send you some instructions on getting some Teams training. But look at this. I'm just working through a Teams 101 class. Getting started, creating a team. The largest training piece over here is 7 minutes. So we'll give you access to this. You can actually find some pieces. If you didn't know something or you wanted to know something, really simple to know because each one of the lessons are broken out by a little tidbit that's out there. So when we go through and I wanted to show you how to create a team and you didn't know it, you could watch these videos and we'll get you access to this. But this is a good example of how third-party applications can be added into Teams. So it becomes your launching pad for everything. I do live in Teams almost all day. So let me go into the hard part. And the hard part is Teams themselves. So I'll just come up for air and see if there's any questions. This is just meant to be a very high level piece. You sort of can't do too many wrongs within Teams. Okay, so what you see up here is actual teams themselves. So we have a proposals team at LAN, we have a projects team. Once you open up the teams, and I'll play around with this COVID resources team. So the top level is called the team, and then everything underneath it is what we call channels inside of that team. So as an example for our sales team, we decided to create channels because we're very involved in the Chamber of Commerce's for specific chambers. So anybody has the ability to go out there and create a physical team, and then you can assign rights that people can only see certain channels. So that's the breakdown of this. Now, why would we have this? We really have this breakdown just for segmentation of who gets access to data. Now, if I go back to one of my long chats, we had so many chats. And in reality, if we were doing an event at the Fort Lauderdale Chamber, which we have, people scheduled meetings that were out there. So as I started in the conversations here, the conversation is about our sales team, or to our sales team, for an event that we're doing at the Fort Lauderdale Chamber. All of the chats stay in this chat area. Everything about this, your chats are kind of organized. So as you build the actual channels, you start thinking what the segmentation of that should be, because then your conversations stay within those channels. So there's no limit to the number of channels that you can have inside a team. And of course, we can go out there and be very secure. And anybody at the top level, we assign a group. I'll just go out there and show you. So when I managed my team, I went out there and I added pending requests, which are people that are in there. I added some of the settings that are what it was going to look like, and I assigned this group of people to this team. So the sales team has all of our members. I'm the owner that's out there, and these are the members and the guests that are out there. So this is my sales team. So at the top level, when you create a team, you tie it to a set of people. You can create the team. I guess I might as well just create a new team just to show you. I'll just create a team. And all I did is go to the bottom, join or create a team. Let's say something from scratch, and I'll go through some of the other pieces. Private versus public. So what I usually do when I create a team is I create it private so that everybody doesn't get a notification that a new team is there. And then I can either make it public or assign people to it. If you create a public team, you just give it a name. I think I had one already. I'll click create. And it's creating the team. And now I can add members to the team. So if I added, the same Eric Goldstein to the team, we can add multiple people to the team. Or if we set it up rightly in Office 365, it could be groups of people. So I added Eric to the team. Automatically down on the bottom here, you'll see demo was created. And there's always a general tab, that's a general channel that's created. In every one of these, there's always a general channel, no matter what. Questions so far? Hopefully it's not super confusing.
Can you sort those alphabetically?
I can sort those alphabetically. The good question as to how, but I know I've seen it sorted on there. I took it as a note to find out.
Thank you.
Can you drag them in a different order, Michael?
Don't think that was in the, let's see. Didn't like that. So right now it's there, but I can remove them and I can move them down. So if I hide them, because you only have certain pieces, it pops it down towards the bottom. So what I mean is that if I don't want to see all my open, I can only see so many. So if I decided that I didn't want these, I can go out there and hide these because you can only see so much in the floor. And then if I wanted to bring this one back, you could see that we had a few others that are out there I could unhide.
When you invite people, do they get an email invitation? Is that how they join?
Yep. They get a notification that there's a new team that's in place. I can physically send them that, and that's depending on how you decided to set this up. right? So lots of times when I'm creating the team itself, I usually create it private so that I can start adding things in place there as I'm thinking it out. And I can always have the ability to add more people, and they'll get a notice that it'll come through.
And anybody can create some level of team. So if we
Correct.
have our sales channel and we create a team called Northeast and we put
Here, while I
Eric
have my sales
there.
team in there, I'll go
Yeah.
in there, can go out there, and I can say add a channel. And I
But
could
they
say,
could do it. Like if Kate and
Correct.
Eric were creating a chat place called Northeast and wanting to dump in their chats about anything going on in the Northeast, then they could completely do that and it would just be theirs. Okay.
and then inside of here, there's the way the privacy works out. Standard, accessible to everyone, only people in the team. So sometimes you got to think about how you want to put that in place there. Then when you go through on next, it'll add the channel. Okay, and then we can add people if we wanted to.
Do you encourage people to create a lot of defined channels, or do you encourage people more to play around in some of these bigger channels and then decide if they want to hone it down?
There's no right or wrong, but
Okay.
I'll tell you why you want to think that the teams themselves after, because what happens is in the back end, this does create a repository for files. So I'll go through this and I'll come back to that. But anybody has the ability to go out there. You see how I kind of made this private inside of this?
Mm-hmm.
So inside the sales team, if it was only these people, they'll see it as private. So again, I try to keep them shorter only because you can't see all the channels. You only have enough floor space to mess with this. And then in reality, I can go back there, and since I'm the owner, I can manage the channel. And again, you have a lot of settings that go out there. I can add permissions to people. I can change that. So if you're the creator and you don't want anybody to create or update that tab that are in there, we can control that. But again, you have to be the owner to handle that.
So if this is like a one-to-one conversation, let's say Brett and I are chatting back and forth, we don't really need a channel. We just chat. And
Right.
then if it becomes Brett and Veronica and I on a national accounts focus discussion, then we'd want a channel.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, or you might want to inside the chat, CC the channel.
Just add them in. Yeah.
Yep.
Part of this is that this is kind of taking clay, and I might make a cup, but you might make a set of china. And lots of times, if you want to preserve it, and I will say that yes, Microsoft's Microsoft, but I'll tell you that in the Microsoft world today, because I have probably about 6 or 7 contacts that I deal with on a regular basis, their emails actually are out of office, and they want us to chat with them because their chats are organized and they don't want to have to receive emails. So that's why if it was important to that and you wanted to keep it, it makes sense to go out and add it directly to this channel. Now, some of the real power of the channels, and I'll just go through, and this was my demo one. So what I did for and we've used this hundreds of times, I just hadn't had a chance to rename it. So COVID resources, the general channel, and then all these other channels that we set up. And I'll just show you why we set this up. So for this general one, I knew that everybody would come in here. So what I did is I didn't find a good use for the general channel. And what I did is I linked it to Twitter feeds. So every time someone comes in, they'll see the latest of it. And we can show you how to do this, but just as an option to think about. It's a power tool that says, hey, anytime you see Bing News, something that involves cybercrime, put it in here. Every time, and we had Bing News, we had Microsoft's RSS feeds. So you can make this general page have some information that might be relevant. So it could be, weather in the Northeast, it could have been products, it could have been things. For me, all I did is link a Twitter feed from Bing News and Microsoft's RSS feed so that when people come into that general channel, they can see what's going on. Because you can't take the general out. Okay, and also, I'll go into one of the ones that we created called cyber information. So by default, you end up getting posts, files, and notes. You can add other pieces up to this piece to make the channel more useful. So in the case of where I had cyber information, I'll just show you that we've added a link to a password report card, and I'll show you how we added some of these. This is just a PDF that goes on there. When we went into the Teams training piece, we actually added the link to the Microsoft website of all their training videos. We added the link to their document site. We added the link to their learning site. And then we kind of we actually added a PowerPoint file that was important to us that was out there. And we added a Word file just to kind of show you that you can make the upper panel important. And all it is that we clicked on the plus sign and we took all of these apps that potentially are out there in the Microsoft world. So do something simple like, hey, I wanted to just add in a website. What's the website name? I'll just say CNN, HTTP. And again, you need to be as specific as possible. All right, doesn't like it. Let's see if it didn't want this piece. They changed how you want to put them in there.
So it's like organizing shortcuts inside of a team. That's awesome.
So you can organize shortcuts. I'll take that one out. You could also go out there, and if we get the files together, I can do links up here to Dropbox, any of the others that are in place there. You know, but more importantly, you know, it's either a website, a SharePoint site, a document library. You know, I could put a form in place. We can put a group calendar that's there so that you can see all the events that are tied to the calendar. It's kind of cool, all the things that you can add to make this a landing page, not just the spot that you're chatting. And in the example here, I tied a Word file by adding a Word file here. I'm already in Word editing. So multiple people, if you were in a meeting inside of this, you can actually see it and cross edit it.
Live updating?
And this is, what was that?
Is it live updating?
Yep.
Cool.
So you know, again,
Sorry, Michael. I was just going to say, just to put this in perspective with some of our uses and for the company, I'm just thinking sales team, we could maybe drop our supplier PDFs, fillable PDFs in there, the supplier setup form, the customer setup form in this, and they could live there. You can complete them. Michael, how would we, can you submit this to somebody from a team? Like if I'm putting templates in here, could somebody submit it to me to be entered into our system?
So for that form, right, I'd probably do something different. So this is really just a way to make this a repository.
Okay.
I'll go back. So I want to show you what you can pin applications up here, anything that's inside of this. And you could play it. I mean, I don't even know what half these apps are, but a lot of people go out there and utilize them. You know, if you had Constant Contact that you're using, it could be the link that's there. It could be the login. Again, in the Microsoft world, you might want to pin specific files. Now, these are just display because you notice that I come in and they're displaying it. The files section is a way for you to organize all of your files. Now, these files exist in the cloud. So let me just show you. Let me grab something off my desktop. All right. I just have Explorer up. Let's see. I'll just grab this ebook. All right. All I'm doing is I'm dragging it up here. It'll take a couple seconds to upload. That ebook has been put into this file place. So not only does it become a repository possibly for links or things that you want, this becomes a repository for files that you're sharing amongst people in that channel. So hopefully I made it clear. And then since this is a new file, anytime any of our users go into this Teams piece, they're actually going to see the little, you know, I don't even know what to call that, but I know it's a new logo that's out there for a new document. So you can put these documents up there. I can go out there and edit them right from within here. It's going to bring up live Word that's out there. Multiple people can edit them. Okay. I have the ability to pin these, do whatever I want. I also have the ability that if you already have a repository in a set of files, I can add any of these repositories. So all files do show up. So this becomes a way that I don't have to worry that the most current version of the file is on Joe's laptop. All files can be put up here. All files can be edited up here. And it becomes a really good repository of organizing documents. Questions? Hopefully I got the wheels spinning in your heads.
Yeah, well, one question, kind of backtracking though, can you turn a one-on-one chat into a channel?
I can. I have to CC the channel. I'd have to CC the channel inside of here when I was going out there and then bringing them in.
Would it start from the beginning or just
No,
where you CC?
It's where you started bringing it in, and then you'd have to go back and chat from within that channel.
Got it.
So lots of times, so what I started doing is we were doing a ton of virtual events last year, and I got tired of my guys asking me, where are all the slide decks? So that's why we started putting all the files inside of here. And same thing inside of our sales team files. So it's organization. Now, what we did is it's tied to Microsoft SharePoint. Don't want to open up a can of worms with that. But, again, there's ways to better organize this and create subdirectories in there and move it around. This also integrates with OneDrive for our files that are down there. So I'll just kind of show you that this proposals piece that's out there. I'll just bring up, the files for this. Just take a look how it's alphabetically organized. What I did for me, and just gives you pieces, all of those documents are here. Sorry, here. This is OneDrive locally on my machine. So there's a lot of different ways to make your life easier to organize the files. So if I actually took this prospects, and I'll just show you because I'll drag something up. So I'm dragging something up. I'll take it from here. I'll copy this. Just want to kind of show you that when I go here, I'll just put it into prospects. I'll just paste it. I give it a couple seconds. This will synchronize up into the cloud, and it'll show up inside of, it should show up any second inside the files that are up here.
Jen, I was just thinking this might be really good for organizing photos per account, and linking the data for potentially the spot opportunities with the CRM. You know what I mean? Because I already have the folders on my desktop.
And all you have to do is drag and drop them up there.
Right.
That folder will take a couple seconds to go up there.
And it will already, this will be.
And then once you have it inside of there, I'll use like the general one because I don't have any files in there. I have the ability to go out there and do new and add folders, and I can say offer letters versus. So now I have something that are offer letters, and then I can go out there and just drag those into the folders. You see, so you kind of have the full capability. I actually got to do a move to move that in there. So again, you have the ability to do a lot of this organization and keep your files up there, but it puts everything up in the cloud. And then the only reason that I integrated into OneDrive is because, like, I was traveling this weekend. I wanted to have all my files with me. I didn't count that American had internet going. So again, a lot of different ways to organize this. And it does give you a way to segment these files just by, setting up different channels, because each channel has a set of files. So questions so far? Yep.
What about your personal stuff? So like Kate was referencing, she has folders. Is there a place in Teams where you can see essentially your own file organization?
So for personal stuff, what I would probably say is to keep it into OneDrive.
Okay.
Itself. Don't bother putting it into this, because the idea of this team is keeping it separate. So, again, in my whole organization of me, I'll just show you, this is really one of my laptops that are out there. And I say one of them because I use it because it all syncs. So everyone gets a copy of OneDrive Personal. All right. So inside of OneDrive Personal, in the midst of doing tax, I kept some of my homeowners policies when I thought the storm was coming in there. And, this syncs with my phone for all my grandchildren pictures. So you can create a folder, any folder, keep it personal to you. The other thing that you could do is that inside the business side of it, you could go out there and create a OneDrive folder and just have you have rights to that. So again, a couple different ways to go out there. I always say use OneDrive because I will tell you that we are the recipient of 10, 15 calls a month from clients and prospects that just put everything on their local drive inside of documents. The machine dies, they never had a backup. Keep in mind that OneDrive syncs everything up to the cloud. So God forbid your hard drive dies, something goes out there and everything's backed up. I also have it set up, and I probably can't show it here, but I have it set up that OneDrive, and we can show you how to do this. OneDrive keeps all of my folders, so everything that's on my desktop, we're all guilty of pinning stuff on their desktop. That desktop is tied to OneDrive. If I left my machine on, or I lent it to my wife and she created some documents and put it into the local documents, all of that is mapped and tied to your OneDrive. So we can give you instructions on how to set that up because, you know, the weakest link in the train is the machine that you're working on. So when you put it on OneDrive, it exists local and it synchronizes up to the cloud. When you put stuff into Teams channels that are up here, these documents exist only in the cloud until you synchronize them with OneDrive. So again, set up for kind of a later training, but good way to put all these files and make sure that that is the file that you're looking for and that you could see who last used it. I can go out there and open it. I can make a folder. I can move it. I can copy it. You know, a lot of good stuff that you can do from within here.
Yeah, and one thing we should note is, you know, we haven't really talked about this, but most of our staff is working on the remote desktop. So we have a shared data folder. We keep a lot of our stuff on, you know, there, but we're going to be integrating with the OneDrive so that we have access locally. You guys know we've had a couple issues this year with getting hacked, and when our remote is down, we're down. There's changes we're making at the company-wide with email, so we have access through Mimecast, and also with the OneDrive, so we have access locally. So we're just trying to prevent ourselves from, you know, sort of having our hands completely tied if something is up with the server. And so those, you know, we need to figure out how we're integrating to the OneDrive from how we're using remote right now. So this is part of the process, but we won't have all the answers on that right away.
Right. And what I would say is that, A, you should have a couple of strategies in place in moving to this. And I bring this up to everybody. So my laptop's encrypted. So in reality, you're going to have to start thinking about, is it a home device or is it a business device? Because with Windows 10 Professional, the hard drives can be encrypted so that God forbid your laptop got stolen, God forbid, I'll use theft as the most piece because now you have company information on a laptop that's outside the physical four walls. So food for thought on that. And then one of the other things that you should consider is a third-party backup of, you know, OneDrive/SharePoint files. Because if you delete something from here, Microsoft only keeps those deletes for 30 days and then they're gone. Usually someone looks to find that out way too late. So food for thought on some of the things, and we can help you with some of that storage. And if you have questions in organization, you know, it's pretty easy for us to answer that. And then if you decided on day one to move a bunch of stuff into the files function of a team, and I'll document this, I don't mean for you to see this, but in the back end, it's really SharePoint. And from this tab in SharePoint is how you kind of pin all those files back down to your local OneDrive.
Yeah, and I think the file storage and stuff might be something for our advanced ones. I really want to get people in there with shared documents amongst the team. So again, I'm thinking some of our templates for the sales team probably need to go in there, and some of our list of suppliers for our CSR teams need to go in there. Maybe some company documents in the general tab need to go in there. But this thing is huge, you guys.
This is just to give you a real big idea. And then there's no right or wrong, where you had the question earlier, you know, do I pin all my forms here? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You know, lots of times it's just as easy saying, hey, here's the folders. I don't need to pin anything up here. But maybe if you had something important that you wanted people to see, maybe it's a URL or something that's not part of the system, you pin it up here. So there's no right or wrong. And then one last pitch to think about your teams is that one of the things that you also have the ability to do, and I think it's really good, and I don't think we set it up yet just because we weren't sure, but I'll add it into here. You know, we added an events calendar, so you can add a specific calendar for something that's specific on there. This is outside of Outlook. This is just a calendar that's tied to this channel. So Microsoft gives you the ability to add that in there. And there is also the ability to have a task list. So I don't think we've added on here. Let me just do tasks, and I'll just do tasks by planner. And I'm going to add it to this channel. Come on. Tasks. I think our guys added something already into this, so I can't add one on here into one of the other pieces. But I'll show you what the tasks look like. And you have the ability to have a full task planner to be tied to this. So again, you know, as an example, I don't think we have a tasks that's tied to this piece, but here are some of the tasks that we have that are tied to the help desk general channel. So all I'm telling you is that as we go into some of the things, the channel itself could have its own task list. It has project management. It has very cool items to go out there. So, you know, as Jennifer said, there's so much to this product that's out there that I think the easiest way for people to start is get the chat going, make sure that you have things set up here, you know, set up, you know, what you're doing as far as your general settings. So if you don't like the purple, do the black. Hate the black with the yellow. I don't know why they have that in place there. You know, tie that in place there. You could check how your notifications come up, because like, what good is it if you don't get the pop-up? So what happens is I have the app popped up in all of my channels and in all of my chats. If somebody is too chatty, you can go out there. Like I show you my help desk chat. I don't get all the pop-ups, but I do see it black inside of Teams that I'm waiting for somebody. They're waiting for me to answer. Now, if I look in this one, you know, here Peter sent me something at 1:22. What I love about it is it doesn't show red until I actually read it. So if someone chatted to me at 3 in the morning, I'll see it when I fire it up in the morning. So start a chat, make sure that you go out there, and very easy to add multiple people to the chats, right? Put their name in there, then that becomes a group chat. So a lot of easy stuff, and it's full multimedia. I guess that's the word I was looking for. I can add GIFs if you like that. I can add smiley faces. I can add emojis. I can add files that I want to send something. I could schedule a meeting from here. You know, hover over this. There's no right or wrong on these things. And, you know, work in the chat. I do say that it's better to, when you're planning your teams and your channels, to plan it out. Don't just create things, because in the background, Microsoft does create a proposals piece in SharePoint with a general subfolder. You can't duplicate a lot of the names that are out there. So you might go out and create something and say, hey, that name's already existing. So think about how you're going to go out there and plan it. Don't just throw things in there. We can rename them. So I say that the easiest thing is to start, do a meeting with someone, just like we just did a meeting that was out there. Real simple to go out there and set things up. Now, last cool thing, and I tie it to chats and I tie it to meetings, is you also have the ability to change how you would like in that meeting. So I'm going to stop sharing and just kind of run through. I guess I can show you, I can give someone control of my settings. I mean, it is pretty full-fetched of the things that we can do. Now, let me just tell you the bad things, right? When you ask me to record this, I'm going to record it. What happens is Microsoft records everything to its internal product called Stream, okay? I can't share Stream outside of my company, okay? And the way Stream works is that I could download the file. What I do is I'll send it to you guys, or maybe I'll just throw it up on my YouTube channel. So Microsoft Stream is like YouTube internally. So once I stop the recording, it'll go out there and it'll tell me that the stream meeting's ready. So when we run events for our clients, I download that stream file, just comes down as an MP4, and I just rip it up to my YouTube channel. That's how I share it. It's just, I just tell this It's not terrible, but Microsoft's working on ways to go out there and get stream outside of your environment. The meeting platform is extremely powerful. So compared to GoToMeeting or any of that, I don't have to fudge around with how I'm going to present my PowerPoint. I don't have to worry that I'm going to be on screen 1 or 2. I tell you, there's a lot of good things when you're doing the meeting and you share. So I think it's really easy. And then I could share it, but there's also fun things that if you did in the meeting. So if you right click on the little hamburger, from the screen, there's something called Together Mode. There's a way to make a small group of us look like we're in a conference room. There's little fun things that when you do in a company meeting, it's kind of cool. Then you share your screen and you go out there. In the near future, if you're doing events inside or outside, there's a way that I can turn on live captioning so you can see it. But in the near future, if someone's really more understands Spanish better than English, they can turn on the captioning in the next 60 days, and I could be talking English, and it'll actually put for that person Spanish. And Spanish English is pretty easy. Chinese I've seen. So, whatever you call the dead, I'll say Mandarin, which was really kind of weird. Also, when you turn on the captioning, Microsoft has these things. Now, I tested it in my early days, and I don't know you guys long enough to do this, but you can Google the George Carlin, 7 dirty words. If I say one of those, Microsoft will actually bleep it. And in the transcript, it'll put the first letter with a lot of stars to it. So I just kind of see these are kind of cool things that make me want to work for this. But since I present all the time in large events, just the share screen and be able to integration into PowerPoint. And then lastly, as we all started getting back to work, I'm always the one that gets into the meeting. Someone's presenting on the rectangular conference room and I can't see the screen. What happens is that you'll have the ability to share PowerPoint where when we did meetings in person, I always go to my meeting with my laptop. I could actually see what they're presenting on my team session and see the PowerPoint locally. So we're finding that, I'll say more millennials are bringing their devices in place and we can go out there and utilize this. And lastly, I was just at an event a couple weeks ago at a large law firm where I had to go in. I was one of the presenters. They had the room set up, meaning that they started Teams on a dumb device like this. It was full multimedia, 70-inch TV. And I was able to present on their screen without asking anybody for a password. I was able to set up a PowerPoint where you guys could actually see my PowerPoint and you could advance the slides if I was talking too long on a slide. So there's a lot of good things that you can do internally besides some of the things that we talked about. And it's not super hard. I use 6 things in there. I use my calendar. I do these kind of meetings. I chat, I group chat, and I go out there and I put all my files and link that to OneDrive because I don't want to count on internet. So I always want to have my files with me. And I will tell you that I was stranded Saturday in DFW Airport in Dallas for 14 hours to catch my connection, which never came. I actually, internet was on and off. There were thousands of people in the airport. Internet sucked at some point. Between football being live in the afternoon on Saturday, I was so glad I had my stuff on my laptop. And needless to say, 2 in the morning, I had to find a hotel wearing the same clothes that I had at 6 in the morning the day before. And I decided not to go to my conference and flew home because I couldn't get a connection. So I used that as, I had everything with me because I sync in OneDrive. And there were 2 occasions where somebody was working on a file on a Saturday in my office. He came back, told me there was a conflict, and then just saved my file with my name after it. So you can't overwrite it. There's a lot of good things, but think about this. I think, Jennifer, I sent you a couple of cheat sheets. I'll send you a couple of links where there's online training. All of you will give you access to this clip training that will be accessible to 2 teams. We say, hey, if you want to find something out, search it in the clip training. There's probably no more than a 4-minute video that will show you how to do it. It's really easy, but I'm a big crawl, walk, run guy. Start chatting, and if people are still chatting in Slack, force them to chat from within inside of Teams. Add a group chat. Do a couple of these meetings. Like I said, my staff loves to give me 2, 3-word answers. Right away, I'm calling them or I'm throwing them on a video. And then if you are doing a lot of video, make sure that you have a good set of speakers. I love these headphones just because They are cutting my lawn right now, and you guys won't hear it. I'm babysitting my son's dog. I hear him barking. I know you guys won't hear it. And then what I also did is that when I have a device, I use the dongle. So these are Logitech headphones, and there's a dongle plugged into my laptop. And the reason why I do that is because when I turn these headphones on, Teams senses the dongle and makes sure that I'm using this set of headphones, not this speaker or the other one that I have there, because part of when you're presenting outside the office is you want to act like you know what you're doing. So not having the speaker set up, setting all those things. So there's some cool things that I could help you recommend, just because I've been doing thousands of these since last year. And, there's nothing more, downing than, are you on mute? Are you connected? When I flip this thing up, I know I'm on mute. When I see the dongle in red, I know I'm on mute. So if my wife comes in or one of my grandchildren come in, I don't want you to have to hear what I'm saying. I know I'm on mute. There's nothing more embarrassing than not being on mute. So a lot of cool things that are in here, and we can do multiple ones of these. I'm here for questions. I live it every day, and on my laptop, I have, GoToMeeting, WebEx, Zoom, Ring Central's version of Zoom, just because my vendors use that. But I insist when I'm initiating the meeting and I do everything through Teams. It's actually easier in the big picture.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Does anybody have any questions for Michael before we go? All right, just a couple of notes for everybody. I'm going to be inviting you into a couple of teams in the coming days. So wait for the invites, and those will be coming across. I'll send you guys some guides that Michael already sent over to me on how to read the bar, the different task bars and things like that. And so I'll share those over to everybody. And then what I want everybody to do is get in there, start using it, try video chatting amongst each other, really text chatting and video screen sharing and things like that. We need to be testing. Anything beyond that, if you want to explore a little bit, please do. But over the next week, I'd like everybody to get real familiar with how the product works.
And Jennifer, hopefully I don't regret this, but you could cycle my email, and if you guys have questions on that, feel free to email me. I'll send you the link, or I might send you the link to the clip training that's on there. If you got questions, especially in the design stuff that's out there, ask. Because like I said, I live and love this stuff all the time.
Awesome. Any last questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I can catch lunch between the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you at 3 o'clock,
day.
Michael.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Good luck.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.